Hello again, friends. Welcome back to Grow and Sew here in Seam of Consciousness, and welcome back to my craft room. If you're just seeing this for the first time, glad to have you here. If we've met before, good to see you again. I'm glad to be back as well. Last time we spoke, I was getting ready to go on the big family trip to Disney World. And now that I'm back, I've got some interesting and pretty unexpected things to share with you. But first, as always, let's get settled in. I encourage you to get comfortable during our time together. So let's get cozy and slow down. Today, it's a little bit warm outside, so I'm going to be hanging out here in a tank top. I've got an iced tea here with me. And let's get physically comfortable, of course, and release some tension in those shoulders by scrunching them up close to your ears. And let's breathe in and hold it for a second or two as we do that. And exhale as you release them down. Roll them forwards and backwards a couple times too. And let's take 3 big deep breaths. 1 to let go of the things we can't control. 1 to remember the things we can't control. And 1 to bring us to the present moment outside of our heads for a little while. There we go. Before we dive into the trip, I thought I would just show you what I'm working on today. And for the longest time, I've been working on this quilt that's composed completely of half square triangles and 2 3/4 inch squares. And this is 1 of 4 panels in the quilt. When it's done, it'll be a full size, I think. And I haven't decided what I want to put, what kind of panel I want to have around the edges. And it was just, I was working on this, black and gray panel, and I pieced it together completely before I realized I had used a 3/8 inch seam allowance on every single seam, instead of a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now, 1/8 inch off doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it adds up quickly. If I were to leave the mistake in the panel, this panel would be about 3 inches shorter than the one next to it. And really, that's just not going to cut it. And this happened completely on accident because I used a walking foot instead of a 1/4 inch foot. And such a dumb, simple mistake, right? Well, it's a simple mistake I will not be making again. And so for now, my seam ripper and I are becoming very well acquainted again. And I'm slowly but surely correcting all of these seams bit by bit. It's a process that requires a lot of patience, but it's very necessary. And mentally, I'm actually pretty okay with repairing something that's already in progress instead of starting something new. I know exactly what I need to do to fix it, and it takes minimal brain power to do. And that's great because I am totally fried. We had a really fantastic trip and everything, but as a wise person once said, you don't go to Disney World for vacation, you go to Disney World for an adventure. And I am exhausted from such an adventure. And I was, honestly, whenever we got there, I was surprised at how quickly we adapted to establishing a new routine. So we would wake up at 7 a.m. to book our first rides for the day. We'd get ready and then go to the park whenever it opened. And then during the day, you go from ride to character to meal to ride to character to meal. Some days we stayed till close. And then every night, though, we would stay up till midnight to buy the Genie Plus Fast Pass for the next day. And we repeated this throughout the entire duration of the trip. And we got so little sleep while we were there, and the days were so long and they were so full, that the whole thing feels completely like a fever dream. We were in a totally different world. We had one job. I guess not one job, but a job that was simpler than our everyday day jobs. Our job was to arrive at places on time, apply sunscreen, stay hydrated, and enjoy ourselves. Oh, side note, by the way, I was totally 100% right about the heat and humidity, and I will forever praise my own foresight on that. The heat index was at least 110 degrees every single day, and it was even hotter than that in the parks with more concrete, like Hollywood Studios and certain parts of Epcot. I will not miss the heat, and I feel like I have had more than my fill of summer. I've spent enough time outside for 2023. Thank you very much. I will be in my craft room until further notice. Caveat aside, I guess, tangent aside, we also got acclimated to a higher level of mental stimulation. And I mean that in that there were always people around. There were always sounds and smells being piped in, and there was always extreme heat if you stepped outside, or extreme cold if you went into a shop or a restaurant. And so we got home and we just felt this emptiness. Like, it wasn't like, oh my God, I miss Disney World and I need to start planning my next trip right now. It was an emptiness from the lack of stimulation. Like, I feel antsy and I'm scatterbrained and I can't focus worth a shit. My brain is seeking the dopamine from the stimulation, and this sensory seeking is unusual for me. I'm not usually a sensory seeking person, but I am right now, and it's manifesting in some pretty annoying ways. So, for example, despite knowing that we won't be able to buy a house for, a good long while because, the market, I'm on Zillow and my goblin brain is saying, let's buy this house right now. And I have to say no. And another example, I went to Walmart and went full fucking gremlin in the back to school supplies. And I can only imagine what damage I would do at Joann's or Michael's unsupervised. And the lack of supervision only exacerbates the issue, and it brings more dopamine because I feel like nobody's here to stop me. And at this point, I'm just trying to ride out the sensory-seeking goblin brain. Like, we got back, and I just had this nagging feeling of, is this it? And to some extent, I totally understand it. We've been looking forward to this trip for so long, like over a year, and now it's done. And now we can plan the rest of our year and beyond. But the big question still remains, now what? And as a result, my crafting beyond ripping out quilt seams is as frozen as Arendelle. Haha. I'm really having trouble getting started on anything. I've taken inventory of my projects, but I keep getting distracted by, new projects, left and right. And fellow crafters and neurodivergent folks will understand exactly what I'm talking about, where starting a new project is often more exciting than doing the project or current projects, or even finishing projects. And this is already a challenge whenever I'm not in sensory seeking mode. So it's especially bad right now. And, next coping mechanism. I usually work best with a deadline, and the next big deadline is Halloween. And I'm trying my hardest not to buy new fabric, and Goblin Brain wants me to buy all of the cute Halloween fabric, and it has only gotten cuter in the last couple of years, and I want my house to be full of cute little ghosties and cute table runners and cute tablecloths and cute wall hangings, and it's overwhelming. I have so many other things I need to do right now, and so many other projects I want to do right now. Like, I want to make an apron or two. I've got 2 Roman shades I need to finish. I want to make solid progress on, this quilt so that it can be done. I've been working on it for several years. I want a table runner for myself. I'm making some table runners for others. I'm considering making pillowcases and small blankets for charities, for example, charities that work with foster children. And my problem is that none of these are the top priority. And all of them are flashing urgent, and I have finite energy and extremely limited focus. And I think the big picture kind of lesson out of all of this is that my mind is seeking the answer to now what? And it's doing a sequential scan across all of my current and planned activities to find it. And even bigger picture than that is that at this time last year, of course I was having some difficulties in the job search and everything. And I decided I was done chasing things and achievements for the sake of the chase. And I think I stopped setting goals for myself altogether. And I think I'm so disorganized because of that. So I think what I'm going to do over the next few weeks is get the goblin brain to settle down as much as it can back into the regular routine. I'm going to encourage the Disney World memories to solidify into long-term memories. I'm going to let this sequential scan run to completion in my brain for the inventory. I'm going to reevaluate what the priorities can and should be for the second half of the year. And honestly, probably just take things one step at a time. That's all I really can do right now. After all, as I like to say in the workplace, when everything is marked urgent and all of the tasks are top priority, then none of them can really be called top priority. So it takes a little bit more work to define your scope and what your top priority really is. So, with that, stay tuned for more, my friends. Until then, know that I am proud of you and I can't wait to see you again. And also, it's okay to let Goblin Brain take over every once in a while, but not always. See y'all next time.